Hi, my name's Andy from Race Technology, and in this video I wanted to introduce the new saving and loading options which have been integrated into version 10. So if you're used to using version 8.5 or any previous versions of our software, whenever you went to save or load a file from our software, you'd have been using the completely standard Windows Explorer. So you could navigate your local drives on your hard drive or possibly some connected network drives, and you could load and save files as you would expect. That's changed with version 10, and whichever applications you're using, when you go to save or load a file, it opens a proprietary Race Technology form which allows you to load or save from a number of different sources. So you can load and save from local files or local network drives as before, but you can also load and save from the Race Technology Cloud server, which I'll say something about in a moment. You can also access the SD card directly if that's plugged into the computer, and you can also, as a fourth source, access files where you've connected to one of our products with a USB lead. So I'll demonstrate all of those in a moment, but first of all I wanted to say something about the Race Technology Cloud, because that's a new thing in version 10. So we call it the Race Technology Cloud, and I think in normal usage it's called the cloud, but it's a slightly confusing term. Even I was confused when we first started development as to what to call it. I mean, it's called the cloud. All it really is the Race Technology server, which is on the internet. So when we talk about saving a file to the cloud, all we really mean is we're saving a file onto the Race Technology server, which is on the internet, and that has a few advantages. Advantage number one, once a file is saved onto that cloud server, it's available from anywhere. So if you do some work on one PC and then you transfer to another PC, then you can access that file from wherever you are. You can also be more organised with your files, because when you save it onto a cloud, it's it's more comprehensive than saving onto just your local drive. So for example, when you save it onto the cloud, there's a list of properties which you'll also save. So for example, a cloud file will have the driver, the destination, the starting point and the ending point in terms of an address, maybe the weather, the size of it, the duration, the best lap time. So there's quite a lot of information that's saved alongside the file that you can search by. Also, the cloud server is completely backed up, so once the data is on there, it's totally secure. We have daily backups and then weekly backups, so if there's ever any problem, then that's fully restored, and that's done on a professional service. So actually, all the long-term file storage and all the backing up is all managed by Amazon S3. So that's a commercial cloud service. So although the files were initially saved to the Race Technology server, they're all transferred onto the Amazon S3. And that S3 service, let's say it's a commercial service, and it's used by banks and, well, pretty much every blue chip OEM you've ever heard of store their files on there. So it's very secure, very safe, fully backed up, encrypted, all the rest of it. There's another reason to use the cloud server, and that is if you're using one of our RT Live products. So we do a couple of different data loggers. So we do the -2 Pro, which logs the files internally. We do the DL1, which logs the file onto a memory card, which can then be removed and inserted into the computer. And now we also do the RT Live product. And the RT Live is unique in that it doesn't log locally at all. So it logs directly onto the cloud. So in terms of accessing the runs which are logged by the RT Live product, you have to use the Race Technology Cloud. That's where the data is downloaded from. So there's 4 advantages using the cloud. Just to recap, it means that data is available from any PC, any location. It's easier to manage in terms of it also saves a bunch of other information like the car and the weather and everything else, so you can search by those in the future. It's fully backed up, so the data is very, very securely stored, and you can be more organised with it. You don't have to worry about what data you've lost and so on. And finally, if you're using an RT Live unit, then it's essential that you're using the cloud, because that's the way that you access all your data. So the first thing I want to demonstrate is how to set up your own RT Live, your own RT Cloud account. So if we switch to looking at the computer, I've got a standard Explorer here, and I've navigated to our website. Depending on your application, you can go to one of our market sectors. So in this case, I'll go to Industrial. I'll click on the RT Cloud tab here. Now, you can either register for a new user, or you can enter your existing details. So in this case, I'll just, as an example, set up a new test account. So we'll call it Andy Test account. Password password 1, just to check. I was lucky I checked. It's about password wrong. Password 1. Let's confirm that. Password 1. Yep. password 1, English. Don't need to add any of those actually, so let's register that. So it's now created, so I've created a RT Cloud account and now I can log in. So it's Andy test account, password 1. Login. Okay, so now I've created a RT Cloud account. You see it's completely free. There's absolutely nothing in it. It's empty, but you can see how to open one. Okay, I'm going to close that now. Well, I'll log out of there just to keep it tidy. I'll minimise that. So now if we look at the analysis software, so I've arbitrarily picked the analysis. This could be any of our software. Like I say, wherever you open or save a file in any of our software, it appears the same now. So I'll click on open. So it's expecting me to open a run file at this stage. So you can see at the bottom here, it says it's looking for a run file. So the first tab, as I said, this is local files. This is very similar to a standard Windows Explorer. It's slightly reformatted, but you can explore your directories. You can pick runs. You're able to pick several runs at the same time. It's so I'm not sure if I've got any data on here. Go to desktop. Let's look in here. There's only one in there. Okay, so I haven't got very many runs to choose from, but in that case, okay, so I could click on that and I could load that run. So that's just loading a local run. I'll come to the Cloud tab at the end. The next tab along is SD card. So in that case, it just jumps, the computer search for any available SD cards and I can load from there. In fact, the SD card, if you prefer, you can just access that from the local one. That's also visible in there, so it's exactly the same. It's just slightly more automated if you use the SD card. Oh, I should say on both the local and the SD card, you can list the files by alphabetical, age or size, whichever suits you. So that's the same on the on that one there. The fourth tab, as I said, that's the USB access. So that's connected to the DL1 that's connected onto this computer, and we can navigate around the directories on the DL1. Equally, that could be a -2 Pro, and we can load files as required. On 8.5, if you're used to using that, then all the USB functionality was in its own application. That was within the Device Explorer, but in this case, we've added it into the all the standard open and save forms. Okay, so if you look at the second tab, which is the Cloud tab, so that's the one that's of most interest, I think. So at this stage, I haven't logged into my account. So currently, all that's available on the Cloud tab are the factory files. So the factory area of the cloud is a special area, so that's a read-only for the user area of the cloud. And basically, as a factory, we maintain a full set of the most up-to-date files for you on there. So examples of what we keep on the factory area are a bunch of example run files, as you can see here. We also keep a complete set of lap files for all the well-known tracks around the world. There's also the most up-to-date firmware on there. Graphical overlay files for doing video overlays and so on. So that's the factory area, so we can load them out of there. So for example, if I was to tick that one, I can click on open and it would download that file. The other thing to notice is something I mentioned earlier. So I've clicked on brands, and because it is on the cloud, we get a bunch of additional information. So we get the file size, the maximum speed, the duration of the file in terms of seconds, the location of it, the car, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more information, and in fact we can list by different properties as well. So for example, we could list by vehicle name, and then you can find all the files associated with a particular car, or equally we could have listed them by location and you'd have them by track. So it's a lot easier to stay organised with cloud files. Okay, so at the moment I've not logged on to my account, so let's log into our own cloud account. So I'll click on the login button here. So I could log into the test account I just created, so Andy test account, password, I say OK. Okay, so now you can see it says Andy test account, but there's absolutely no files in there, so that's not very interesting. So if I log out from that one, and if instead I log in to the account which I do use regularly, so Andrew Safety, enter the password for that account, OK. Okay, so there's thousands of files, mostly factory test files, which are in this account. So in that case, it's listed by vehicle name. So I can expand this one, and these are all the files which I've logged on my my Polo. So that's mostly just some test drives. You can see all the details being populated there in terms of speed rating and duration of the run, start date, end date. It's got the start and end address. So I can just simply select a couple of these files. So if I select this one and this one, click on open. So now it's downloading those files from the cloud over the internet. And once completed, they're just loaded into the analysis software, just as if I was loading files from a local file on the desktop and so on. So it's asking me if I want to load in a GoPro file, but I'll say no at this stage. It's just warning me that the maps cover a large area. I don't know where these are. So no GoPro. Let's have a quick look at a map. So okay, nothing very interesting, but just to show you it's loaded the data in. Okay, so that was an example of a load operation. If we go to save, it looks very similar. So save a logged file to disk. It's just warning us that that file already exists on the server. And equally, so I can now save it locally. I can upload it to the server, so I could send it up to the cloud, or SD card, or USB. Okay, so that's from within that application. I'm not going to say much more, so quit that. The only other thing I was going to mention was there's also a standalone file manager. So if we start that, it looks very similar to the open and save form from within an application. So in this case, we've just got two tabs. We've got the RT Cloud and we've got USB. And we also have radio buttons here for load and save. So for example, if we wanted to just drag some files off the cloud and onto our desktop, we can drag and drop like that. So that's that file that's been dragged and dropped. Equally, if we go to upload, then we can, so let's find a file to drag and drop. So let's say we want to store this this file here on the cloud, so I simply drag and drop it here. I can add in some details, so this is a test upload, and I can say upload now, and that's now transferring a file from our desktop onto the cloud. Okay, well hopefully that gave you some idea of the capabilities of the new cloud features within version 10. So that's integrated throughout the software. As I say, if you've got a RT Live unit, then that's the way to access all your data. So it's pretty much essential, well, it is essential to have a cloud account. If you're using one of our traditional products like the DL1 or Dash 2 Pro or the high accuracy GPS equipment, there's no requirement to use the cloud at all. So it's still useful to be able to access the factory area for our, let's say, our reference files. But it's completely optional. You can choose to keep all your data on the cloud so you stay more organized with your files. But if you prefer just to keep them locally and continue to work just as you did in 8.5, of course that's entirely possible and you don't need a cloud account at all. Okay, well I hope that was of some interest and answered some of your questions. As always, if I've not answered them, then please get in contact. I'll be delighted to help. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.